I'm Jonathan Messenger, broadcasting to you live from my home, where I record a kids podcast with my son, Griffin.
John dreams of inspiring other parents to create something with their kids. American Family Insurance is helping to make that dream happen right now.
Dad, what else does a monster look like?
It was so huge.
John's podcast began at home, and your dreams can too. Learn more about American Family's home insurance at mfam.com. American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly.
American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin, 53783.
Whose free agent landing spot has him shooting up draft boards? What fantasy value can Derek Carr squeeze out of Jordy Nelson? And have the Browns officially passed on Saquon Barkley? Plus, $30,000 career high-stakes Dynasty winner Bryan Studebaker drops in to discuss why he loves to acquire first-round rookie picks, what most Dynasty players get wrong in their rookie drafts, and much more. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak.
Thank you and good evening, Rob. Greetings and salutations to the rest of you Balkaholics and Gerzak addicts. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. I'm your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host is the patron saint of fantasy football. Of course, he is the Dizzle, Dave Gerzak. Coming up on tonight's show, we'll tackle the fantasy analysis on all the big moves in the NFL free agency thus far, plus Bryan Studebaker, he of a career $30,000 high-stakes Dynasty winnings total, breaks down the Dolphins' crowded receiver room, as well as takes a peek at who to target, who to avoid in your rookie draft this May. Shout out to the chat room right now. Feel free to post any questions you might have in there. If you want to connect with us on Twitter, you can do so at HSFF Hour, at Eric Balkman, at David Gerzak. You can connect with Bryan Studebaker on Twitter at RNG_Dynasty. You can post on our Facebook page at facebook.com/HSFF Hour. And if you want to chime in, give us a call, please do so. 347-426-3682. That's 347 Game Over. You can also email the show at the inbox, highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. If you have any questions for us, now is the time to send them. We'll try to do our best to get to all the chat room questions, tweets, and emails in the fantasy feedback segment later in the show. No promises on that because there's a lot of free agency news to get to. David Gerzak has a question. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. What was his Twitter handle again?
RMG.
N as in Nancy?
Excuse me. RMG. RM like Mary.
I got it. Thanks.
G. That's Real Men Genius _Dynasty.
Well, thanks. Now that you've spelled it out, literally. Thanks.
Yeah, give him a follow. I
was trying, and now that you actually said it.
I know the show, and I do. I'm pretty sure FFPC follows him as well. And now David Gerzak. And listen, everybody should be following him. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the FFPC right now at the top of the show, our lovely sponsor. The live events location was announced today, and once again, back on the Strip and back at Planet Hollywood for the second consecutive year. I know Two-Packers very excited about that. The proximity for Earl of Sandwich right in the wheelhouse there at PH, so he can definitely take advantage of that.
But yeah, alcohol by the yard.
Alcohol by the yard.
There's a number of establishments that have that, so that's good for him.
We had a great time there last year. It's going to be another great time this year.
PH is great. They do a really nice job.
If you want to stay at PH, and we would certainly it's not mandatory to stay there. We'd encourage you to do it. And Greg Sidoris, our Casino Connections host, is hooking you up with FFPC only rate. I confirmed it tonight. $79 for any weekday night, and then $179 for Friday and Saturday. That is confirmed. I wasn't
Pretty
sure,
good.
but I did confirm it with him tonight.
And if you're staying with us, you get extra benefits and stuff. He's got
I know
Sunday seating and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, and the resort fees are discounted as well if you book through that. So, and you can actually book if.
And if you're sorry to interrupt, but if you're a high roller and you get comps, you should still contact him because he can still get you comped up.
He gets the best deal on the strip, right?
Yeah.
So whatever, Steve Wynn comes to him and he's like, hey, listen, I need to be hooked up.
All right.
You can go to the myffpc.com page. If you go to the main event page and scroll all the way down, there is a banner there that you can click right on there, and that'll take you right to the booking. You can book right there. Otherwise, contact Greg. His information's on the FFPC website as well as his email, lvch777@aol.com. I don't have his phone number memorized, but you can contact him there as well.
He's old school if he's using AOL. I mean, he used to probably hook up gangsters.
Listen, he has to go for the discount internet in order to give, to give us the discounts, to give the FFPC players the discounts.
He's still putting CDs into his computer and getting free hours on his AOL account.
Whatever it takes, man. The main event prize pool championship round has been increased by $100,000. And Dave, we had a $1.7 million prize pool in the FFPC main event last year, $2.2 million this year.
Yeah, so if we sell out this year, it'll be $2.2 million. That would be an increase of $432,000 overall.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
In 1 year. So
a lot of extra draft times too. This should be a really fun year.
Yeah, are the draft times double? Is there double the amount of draft times?
More than.
More than doubled?
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously there is a draft in time.
There's tons of online stuff, yeah.
myffpc.com/main event. And if you want to start prepping for that now, as a lot of FFPC players are, you can register for best ball drafts starting at $35 that are drafting now.
All right, enough of the ads.
Okay, real quick. I won't. Okay.
Like 60 seconds.
Last thing I want to say, Dynasty Superflex, now available. A lot of people requested it. They're out there, myffpc.com. Moving on.
Finally, good God.
Yeah, it was a lot. I want to bring in...
I'm tuning out.
Don't tune out yet. At least wait for the guest, because listen, nothing good happens after the guest. Nothing productive happens after the guest.
After midnight.
Let's bring in tonight's guest. He is the FFPC 1250 number 7 Dynasty League reigning champ. Has finished in the money nearly 80% of the time at that level over the last 4 years in Dynasty. He loves to hoard first-round rookie picks. Has won more than $30,000 doing so at the high-stakes level. Please welcome to the show. You know him as the owner of the Real Men of Genius Dynasty franchise, Bryan Studebaker. Bryan, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, good evening, guys. Hey, Balky, Dave, appreciate y'all having me tonight.
Well, we're very excited to have a reputable high-stakes player on once again.
For one.
No, we have reputable high-stakes players on every single week, but to the level of success that you have enjoyed over the past few years in the FFPC is certainly worthy of picking your brain tonight, which we look forward to do. Before we get into fantasy, Bryan, tell the listeners what you do for a living.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a VP of sales for a company that specializes in making human performance and then tactical training equipment for the U.S. military. That's what I do for a living, and then I've got a 10-year-old son, nearly 10-year-old son, and an 18-month-old little boy, and so I'm busy coaching baseball and helping take care of the baby.
Yeah,
changing diapers and coaching baseball.
Yeah,
absolutely. So baseball tournaments all this weekend as well, but we just enjoy it. So I spend a lot of time on the road with work, and when I'm not on the road with work, I'm helping take care of the boys.
So Bryan, I know you like the Under the Helmet podcast with Chad Parsons and the Roto Underworld stuff with Matt Kelly. Is that when you're on the road, or are you soaking in those podcasts? Is that how you're passing the time?
We don't listen to this crap.
That's pretty much precisely what I do when I'm on the planes. I kind of throw the headphones on and get going and listen to whatever I can in regards to anything Dynasty. And kind of over the years, I've dabbled in a little bit of everything, but early on, kind of really started listening to a lot of the UTH stuff with Chad Parsons and those guys. And then, like you said, with Matt Kelly with the Roto Underworld, very much early on with a little bit of an acquired taste, but I've grown a heck of an appreciation for what he brings to the table in the dyno space.
Yeah, he does know his stuff really well.
I've listened when I listen to Matt Kelly's podcast. I might have said this on the show before. Well, we've had him on the show before.
Yeah.
When his podcasts end, I feel my muscles unclench.
Your blood pressure goes up.
No, not my blood pressure. I feel like I'm on the edge the whole time, like listening to him talk, and then afterwards I'm just like, wow, that was great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's some great podcasts that are obviously, there's some great podcasts that are obviously out there, but the content's great, but the the presentation can be pretty much a bore and a drag. But then even if Matt Kelly's kind of wrong with something that he's throwing out there, he's going to say it with conviction, and it's going to be pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it definitely is. It always is.
Well, a lot of these guys who supposedly know a lot are just boring people with no charisma. That's their problem.
Right, like us.
We're the opposite of us. We don't know anything, but we're really, really cool.
Oh, okay, so we're like halfway.
All right. By the way, great to meet you virtually here. We emailed back and forth plenty of times.
That's
so
right.
Here's our first tough question. But not really, because none of these are tough. Congrats on winning 12-15 number 7 last year. You have Kelsey on your team. Have you shopped Gronk around, given the retirement rumors that are floating? And if so, what type of offers are you getting?
Yeah, so actually, I actually kind of went the opposite way. So on last year's 12-50 number 7, I acquired Gronk a little bit close to the deadline. I felt like he was a great, obvious target player at the FFP deadline, found a team that wasn't really in contention, and then went out and offered up Njoku in a first. Pretty aggressive offer, but it got me Gronk, got him going. Then pretty much right after the Super Bowl, whenever some of the rumors started floating out there about Gronk potentially retiring, frankly, I turned right around and I shopped the 102 essentially and went out and acquired Kelsey. So I kind of felt like, with the way this team is built around a lot of young running backs, pretty solid depth, that I needed to go out there and shore up that position, and so that's what I did. I actually went out and acquired Kelsey, but specific to Gronk, no, I really haven't. I haven't shopped him at all because I just don't feel that the time's right. I mean, 3 weeks ago you'd have really had to sell him for pennies on the dollar, and you know what? If he retires in the coming weeks, then he retires. But if he doesn't, then I fully plan on having him on my roster and having that solid 1-2 punch for Travis Kelsey and Gronk, and then kind of seeing where we're at as the season goes on. But kind of my advice, and it's pretty obvious advice out there, is now's not the time to trade Gronk, in my opinion. Kind of let him ride, and if he gets off to a fast start, teams are going to want that those points at tight end. I think you do it the other way. I acquired him last year at the deadline. Maybe this year I turn around and I sell him.
And that's the other thing to keep in mind, too. I think that Gronk, Dave, I don't know if we haven't really talked about this, but I think he's coming back given what's happened in New England in free agency. All those targets that Deion Lewis had are now in Tennessee. Danny Amendola, who was pretty big down the stretch for New England, he's now in Miami. So now you have a Julian Edelman coming off an ACL tear coming back. You have Brandon Cooks. You have Gronk. James White, I guess you can throw in there. But there's not – I mean, you want to keep Brady stocked with weapons. And if Gronk retires – that's a huge void.
So in other words, because of all these things that have happened independent of Gronk, now you think he's coming back?
I think that New England knows more about this than we do. And I think the fact that they were not aggressive in keeping these guys makes me believe that if Gronk was going to retire, he would have already. They believe he's coming back.
Yeah, they're like, don't bullshit us, you're coming back.
Exactly. Dave and I have, we agree here on Gronk. Bryan, we don't agree on the Titans receiver, Corey Davis, if I can get it out of my mouth. This is one of the sophomore receivers you have on this 12-50 number 7 championship squad. Tell us why you believe in him and how good you think he'll be, maybe this season, but as well as his career arc goes. How good could Corey Davis be in the NFL?
Yeah, absolutely. So last year he was obviously, I took him with the pick 101. If he was in this year's class, just to kind of go ahead and put a rookie pick on it, I would still take him in the 102 range, for this year. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that 2014 wide receiver class that had, OBJ, Mike Evans, et cetera, they kind of set a bad precedent for, what we expect out of these rookie receivers. In my opinion, I mean, he's still the same athletic and metric freak that everyone saw, coming out of college last year, prototypical X receiver, size, speed, you name it. Additionally, and kind of just obviously very limited targets there in Tennessee. I mean, there's very little competition. There's plenty of room for targets that he should be able to kind of take on this year. And I think one of the things that's not necessarily being kind of talked about as much is the addition of Matt LaFleur, the new offensive coordinator there. He's worked with a bunch of the big-time X receivers, and frankly, kind of the offensive, great offensive minds and gurus. Both of the Shanahans, Gary Kubiak, and then most recently with Sean McVay out in L.A. with the Rams. And at the end of the day, with where Corey Davis is valued from an ADP standpoint, I don't necessarily say that he's a buy right now, but I But at the same time, I wouldn't be selling him if you've got him either. I think that it kind of goes back to that 2014 class. Everybody wants that instant gratification with him, but, I think we got to kind of see where he is, in 6 months or so, and just kind of adjust accordingly.
Yeah, and I don't want to, take us too far away from Dynasty here, but he is going as wide receiver 31 in FFPC best ball drafts right now at the 702. So certainly for a guy with all that upside coming into his second year, you'd think he'd be going a little bit higher, and maybe he will. I mean, maybe his ADP will rise. But I'm with you, man. I like Corey Davis quite a bit this year. We'll see. I know Dave has not come around. I'm pretty sure he will.
No, I'm not. I'm not coming around.
You're coming around to the correct side of this argument eventually.
A guy who scored 0 touchdowns as a rookie. 34 catches for 375 yards in 11 games.
Yeah.
There's a series of articles that RotoViz did last year, and whether or not this is just me, whatever.
Okay.
So a lot of the players that they would look back at the rookie seasons and they would do compare how that person did versus other players who did similarly.
Sure.
And almost invariably, no one that caught under 700 yards receiving was successful. Not no one, but very few wide receivers that as a rookie were under 700 yards receiving ended up being successful. So if I can still sell Corey Davis, which I did do.
What'd you sell him for?
It was the 105. So whatever. So less than you would have sold him for. But I'm fine with it because that's about where I was. I effectively didn't lose any value. I saw that he had a crappy rookie season, and I still got back effectively the same value. I can try again. Hold on. He's got a chance to be awesome. Right. He also has probably a 30-40% chance to bust.
Right. Like the book is not written yet. Maybe the foreword has been written. Chapter 1 is in the book. The book has not been written yet. I want to talk about Corey Davis a ton more. But while we have Bryan on, I don't want to soak up too because
let Bryan have one more comment.
I will. Bryan, I get you.
We always talk too much.
I know, but last thing. We are going to butt heads over this for the next few months. So I'm going to keep some.
And you can be butt heads.
I'm going to keep some bullets in the chamber here, and save myself for the next few months. Bryan, go ahead. Your final point on Corey Davis. Yeah, I am.
Yeah, and obviously, Corey Davis was hurt, so he missed all of mini camp, and it was a little bit kind of slow to the party, for lack of a better term. Last year, I think with the new coaching staff, I think it's one of those things, and it kind of goes back to the fact that you got a guy like Matt LaFleur that's kind of worked under all of those kind of offensive-minded coaches that like to throw the ball down the field to their ex. At the end of the day, I think it's going to be one of those things. That's going to be a very intriguing kind of thing to sit back and wait and see. And, if it was the same coaching staff, I'll be honest, I would probably be a little bit closer with Dave because I'd be pretty worried about, a very run-focused offense. But I think that whole team last year, they just had a little bit of regression. And now let's see what happens with some new coaches and kind of where he's at in year 2 with a full healthy offseason.
Yes, sir.
Good point. I can respect that. And we're going to move on now.
Okay, good. Let's
Bryan was right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we don't have to get to that level, but let's keep talking about receivers though, because there's some receivers in free agency that have new uniforms now, Dave.
Okay. So Allen Robinson and Sammy we call him Sammy Watkins. Do you think their values went? This is kind of an obvious question, but do you think they went up or down last week, and how much?
Yeah, so, right now, Sammy Watkins is somewhere in the neighborhood of an overall ADP, kind of in the 4th round range, wide receiver 22, the most recent DLF data that's kind of out there. And then Robinson, he's actually a little bit closer up, so he's ADP 25 with, kind of right there outside of the top 12 for wide receivers. Kind of real high level, Sammy Watkins, I think his value is obviously going to go up. It's just the buzz of him going there. He's got a lot of pedigree, big-time talent, as we know, coming out of Clemson. But at the end of the day, I don't necessarily think that it's justified. I think with Sammy Watkins going to Kansas City, there's going to be absolutely a ton of targets to go around with the, young, essentially, second-year quarterback, but first-year starting. That said, there's just a ton of targets. A ton of competition for those same targets, and he's been pretty inefficient when he has had chances. And then obviously I know, I don't really necessarily, ding people too bad for injuries, but, when it's the same types of like lower extremity, foot and ankle, I think it's something that you have to kind of pay attention to. The winners in KC, in my opinion, are the supporting cast, Mahomes, Hunt, Kelsey. If I can swing it, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and say, well, hey, Sammy's here. I'm going to go out and try and, purchase Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce and say, hey, there's less targets going around. But if I got Sammy Watkins, I'm selling, frankly. I mean, I really am. I don't know what you guys kind of think about that, but, specific to Robinson, I don't, from a pure value standpoint, I don't see how his ADP can increase too much as a result of this news. I mean, he's got a track record of, producing in the NFL as an ex-receiver with, frankly, a bad quarterback in Blake Bortles. I think the key thing with Allen Robinson is he's going to a situation where they've got almost 50% of their targets available from last year. They have 213 targets that are no longer on the roster. So 50% of their targets are out there. And I just don't see the competition like what Sammy Watkins is going to have in KC. From a pure talent standpoint, I don't necessarily think there's too big of a difference. But when you look at the track record of the two players, injury history, and then, frankly, just their current situation, if I can do it, I'm going to try and get Allen Robinson. I mean, I'd even be willing to move off of a guy like Mike Evans, maybe trade Mike Evans for Allen Robinson and a first, or Allen Robinson and, some other value in another place.
That's interesting. Okay. Well, and I'm with you on Robinson, and to keep it in that organization, that Bears organization. Trey Burton was signed the same day as Allen Robinson. Now this is Matt Nagy, who is head coaching the Bears now. Same guy who was the offensive coordinator last year and really unleashed Travis Kelce really over the past couple of years. Can Trey Burton actually be a top 10 tight end this year in Chicago? I mean, we know that Allen Robinson is going to get a lot of targets. Where does Trey Burton fall in on this? We saw him perform in Philadelphia when given the chance. How good can he be this year as a Bear?
Yeah, absolutely. So to kind of take it a step further, that's what most folks are going to tie Matt Nagy to is, Travis Kelce's success. But to go a little bit further back, Nagy was actually the quarterback coach in Kansas City when Doug Peterson was the offensive coordinator. That said, you obviously see what Peterson did with Zach Ertz. So, I mean, they've really kind of figured out how to maximize the move tight end and, guys like Travis Kelce and Ertz. Though they are obviously, much better blockers than what Trey Burton is, with all the targets that are available and the simple fact, I don't think you're throwing out 4 years and $32 million to a guy like Trey Burton and then him not have that opportunity. All of that said, I would have loved to have seen Trey Burton, go to a little bit more powerful offense. If he could have went to a Green Bay, even to go kind of do that Hernandez role in New England. But that said, again, 50% of the targets in Chicago are available as you go into this year, and they don't exactly have any wide receivers. So that's going to be an interesting offense. There's a lot of buzz as it surrounds with Trubisky and Tarek Cohen and now Trey Burton and Allen Robinson. So that's going to be a fun offense to kind of see if it can ascend. Getting a lot of buzz. A lot of folks are saying, hey, this could be, the 2018 version of the Rams. I'm not willing to go that far, but I can't see a scenario where Burton and Allen Robinson don't get a lot of targets this year.
Do you not like the Burton analysis, Dave? You seem skeptical on Trey Burton.
No, the analysis is great.
You're not a Trey Burton guy.
Well, it's not that. I mean, okay, so he was behind Zach Ertz. He was behind Brent Selleck.
Right, the blocking tight end.
Right. And his career highest, 327 receiving yards.
Right.
5 touchdowns last year. And, I get it. We're projecting for the future. So, I mean, I know that I always say this, too. Follow the money, right? They paid him a ton of money.
Yeah.
And so that's great. I just, I'd like to see a little more proof in the pudding. I mean, they're paying the 6th highest tight end in the NFL. Really? So he's getting paid at. He's getting paid in the ranges of Kelce, Jimmy, all these guys. Right. And he's really pretty unproven. I mean, granted, he may be fine, but he's not. This is. I'm going to go back to the other analysis about Kansas City as well. Yep. Allen Robinson is the only playmaker on that team. Everyone else, like Jordan Howard and Burton.
I like Cohen.
They're second-tier playmakers. I mean, Cohen's fine, but he's more of a Tavon Austin, a good Tavon Austin.
But you bite your tongue. He's like a
good man, Tavon Austin. But I mean, when you go to Kansas City, you have Kareem Hunt, you have Tyreek Hill, you have Kelce. Those are all superstar-type players. Yeah. So that's what makes Sammy Watt tougher. So I'm just getting rid of that.
I get that. But the one thing I will say about Burton is in the games that Ertz missed with the concussion last year, Burton really did very well when he was the starting move tight end. You know what I mean? He excelled. in those games.
Yeah,
so,
he had week 14, 5 receptions for 71 yards and 2 touchdowns, but it was a 42-35 victory. I mean, you're playing in the WAC here. You know, 42
Arena
points.
They had arena rules that week?
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I mean, it's like 2 touchdowns. It's impressive. And 71 yards, they priced him for 450.
They may have. I have no idea. What I do have an idea of is our guest tonight, Bryan Studebaker, $30,000 career Dynasty winner, 1250 number 7 FFPC Dynasty League champion.
I'm really interested in this next question.
Yeah, the first round rookie picks. Let's talk about it, Dave.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to talk about this.
All right.
You know what I'm going to talk about? I just looked at your player count.
Okay.
And
this is Bryan's player account.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I have backdoor access to look at your player account at my leisure.
Crazy.
And yeah, exactly. It says here, this is a question, by the way. Don't answer it because I'm going to say something else. Tell the listeners why trading for so many first-round rookie picks has been so instrumental to your success. Now, that's the question. Now, I look here, deposit for 2019 first for 1250 number 3. Then the same thing for 1250 number 7. Same thing for 750, 27, and the same thing for 2500 number 1. So we're talking about you acquiring first-round picks, and apparently you're dealing them all away for next year.
Because he's got so many of them, Dave.
Yeah, what is the deal here?
When you got 8 of them, if you trade one away, you still have 7.
You're paying us all these deposits for these future picks.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, as it pertains to the deposits and being willing to put them out there, hey, you know, it kind of goes to my point of what we're going to discuss as it pertains to these rookie picks. But, you know, I'm all about acquiring them, but at the same time, if the price is right, sometimes you get folks that, you know, do not have any don't have any current year, rookie first. And if you're able to dangle out, a future year, in this case, 2019, you may be able to get a little bit, kind of good return on investment here at roster cut down time. Sometimes folks want to sell some guys a little cheaper than usual, but, to kind of answer the question, pretty directly, how's it been instrumental to my success? I mean, all over the place, whether you're talking the 2,500 leagues or the 1250 number 7. To me, there's a few main points, but first, rookie pick hoarders or youth chasers or all these little, kind of terms that are out there for folks that go after the rookie picks. I don't think it's, proper analysis. To me, the rookie picks, if you do it, appropriately, they have the most insulated value. I mean, you can get those top end guys, in a startup or via trade. And when you get them, great, hold on to them. But the reality of it is, outside of the first couple rounds, if you look at the current ADP, there's a lot of guys that are very shaky that are being taken starting in round 3 and in some cases round 2 of startup drafts. I just think the value is very insulated. It doesn't matter if you're rebuilding, contending, or just trying to maximize your roster as a whole. For 9 months out of the year, that pick's going to be steady. You don't have to worry about the pick getting hurt. You don't have to worry about the pick, losing value. And come, either trade deadline. If you're contending, you can leverage those picks as I did in 2,500 number 3 last year. You can leverage those picks to go trade for guys that can help you make a push during the stretch run. Or on the flip side, you can do like I did in 1250 number 7 last year, and you can go out and draft guys like Corey Davis, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Kareem Hunt. I mean, the list goes on and on. So I just like the flexibility as it pertains to the picks. I mean, that's my main thing. And then it's not really a secret of the trade, but I don't think that a lot of people really do a good job of evaluating, which teams really don't have a shot to make the playoffs in future years. It seems like a common sense kind of topic. But there's been many a times that those types of teams will call me up and say, hey, I want to do a trade, or they'll send an offer over and want to do a trade for a player. And I'll say, cool, I'll take my contending 2019 first, and I want to flip it with yours. The next thing you know, you're sitting on an early pick, in the next year's, rookie draft.
Well, Bryan, as the commissioner of these leagues, we got to keep them going. So if you could just, try not to screw over all these guys.
Just some of them.
It would be nice.
Yeah,
for me a little bit more.
Yeah.
When I try and sell the teams. Thank you. That's it.
But and Bryan, and I'll say this too, like when you talk about what people get wrong in having these assets, these draft pick assets that, for the next year, for future years.
Yep.
The thing that they fail to really grasp when they're talking about trading players and picks is what part of the draft is this pick going to fall when I'm going to be able to use it, or when it comes into value. Is that what people get wrong? If they did that right, do you think these rookie drafts would work out a lot better for Dynasty players?
Not entirely, because the reality is I think there's only about 2 or 3 teams that you can look at in most leagues, and you can clearly identify, the likelihood of that being a top 6 pick. I mean, frankly, just from a format standpoint, the way the FFPC does it to keep everyone kind of engaged and active and not rewarding just if you have the worst record that you automatically get the 1-on-1, that's a great thing for the way the format works. But the main items that I think that other people kind of get wrong, in addition to not being able to identify, which teams may be the 2 or 3 worst in the league, some simple things. One of which, I've seen so many rookie first traded for quarterbacks. I just don't get it. I really don't care who you are. There is not enough value in this format, in the primary FFPC format, prior to the Superflex format kind of coming out, where you start one quarterback at 4 points. I mean, most years the difference between QB4 and QB16 is nowhere more than, 3 or 4 points per game. I would rather have my rookie pick and be able to go out and acquire a running back or a wide receiver that can help me contend. The other big thing that I see, and this is kind of my last point on what I think some folks do wrong with their rookie picks, is whenever they're on the clock, we're talking rookie draft, I feel that folks kind of feel like they get stuck to, draft Twitter and everything else that's out there. And, hey, and here's my example, hey, I'm at 105. I've got to take this guy. Well, last year I was in the same scenario. I picked 105. I had my clear top 4 last year, but I didn't like 105. 105 last year I kind of had in the Mike Williams range. So I turned around and I didn't feel pigeonholed. I didn't feel like I had to take a player, which is what a lot of guys do. I traded back 105 to 111, and I was able to pick up a 2018 first. Well, nice. I didn't like 105. I trusted my analysis. Pick 111, I got Kareem Hunt, and oh, by the way, that 2018 is going to be Saquon Barkley. It's the 101.
That's nice.
Nice. And that's obviously a best case scenario. But guys, if you look at 110 or picks 112, I think if you're looking at rookie drafts, I guess here's my recommendation to folks. You got to do your analysis. You got to have your tiers. And once you get out of a certain tier, it's amazing what you can get just to move back 3 or 4 spots. And there's not many people that are doing it. They're just not. They feel like, hey, this is my guy. But unless you can clearly say why he's your guy, move back. And like I said, that's an extreme example. But even if that pick turns into Kareem Hunt and 106 this year, well, guess what? I can move back again. And, in lieu of taking Mike Williams, I can have 3 or 4 first-round picks for years to come just by being flexible. And a lot of folks aren't flexible. They just want to take a guy and press home.
From the chat room talking about that trade, Two-Packer says that is sick. Can I ask him for some penny stock picks?
Yeah, that's
anything the defense industry. What do you think? Lockheed Martin maybe. Any little tips there? Inside info.
Man, I wish. I'm just trying to figure out who's going to win the college basketball games tomorrow. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Xavier, one of the best institutions, as well as local high schools in my area.
You didn't go to college here, so we don't have to talk about it. But I'm always reminded of this was several years ago in one of my Dynasty rookie drafts. I had the 108, and I didn't like anybody there. And I wasn't really getting any traction in trade offers that I liked. So what I ended up doing is finally I just kind of wanted to wash my hands of it, and I traded it for a dude's next year's number 1, and he didn't have a very good team. And I was like, oh, this is actually, it's a 108 this year, but next year it could be like the 102 or 103. Right. I had pie in the sky, sort of analysis. And so the guy does the deal. At the 108, he takes Toby Gerhart, because this is when Gerhart signed that big deal with Jacksonville, and he was a free agent in our league.
I remember he was
and I'm like,
the first.
Oh my God, this is the 102 or 103 for sure. If this guy's taking Gerhart here, So then he ends up having a baller year. Not Gerhart, but this guy's squad. And that 108 pick in whatever year it was, it turned out to be the 109 the following year.
Nice.
So I moved back 1 pick over the course of a year, and I think I took Jordan Matthews that year at the 109. That didn't really. I flipped him.
He's still failing to separate.
It's terrible. Okay, Dave, let's talk about the Dolphins wide receivers, suddenly crowded wide receiver corps.
Yeah, I love the Dolphins. That organization is so well run. So tell us, they have the Devontae Parker, who's never done anything, Kenny Stills, who shows up once in a while. They got Albert Wilson, career high of 554 receiving yards, and Danny, get concussions, Amendola. How do you take advantage of this flim flam for Dynasty? I'm sorry, it's a little bit of a loaded question, but What do you think? Is there somebody you like there, actually?
Yeah, so, in this format with the shallow rosters with the roster cut downs, I'm not going too deep here. I'll be honest, with an early round 7 ADP, I'm still going after Parker. I mean, he's got the pedigree, he's got the size, he's got everything that you're looking at, that you're looking for in that prototypical receiver. There's over 100, and I want to say over 160 targets that are up, that are available. I know they went out and signed Albert Wilson and Amendola and and all these other guys, but at the end of the day, I want to have somebody that can potentially kind of skyrocket in value, and I see that as being Parker. I know he's been up and down. I've had him, I've sold him, I've done all of the above with this guy, but I still think that the value is there with him. I mean, nobody's going out and trading for Danny Amendola and some of the other guys, but to me, Kenny in a traditional Dino format, Kenny Stills, offers some late round appeal. Still 25 years old, but I'm kind of going after still Parker and Stills, and that's really about it. I mean, I know a lot of folks are saying Albert Wilson. I'm not sure. I don't really see it with the guy, but it's going to be interesting. I mean, bigger picture, and you kind of said it at the beginning, Dave. What in the world are the Dolphins doing? I mean, they've got QB holes. Their defense, the defense is a mess. They're getting rid of Sue and Landry and everybody, and you name it. I don't get what they're doing, but you know what? If they're going to be bad and they're going to be down, give me the big receiver that when he has been healthy. You go look at his stats, it's, 4 or 5 receptions for, 60, 65 yards in that range. Hey, that's double digits. There's still value to be had with a round 7 startup guy.
And if they are terrible, could be some garbage time, at least in 2018 for Parker as well.
I still don't understand how GMs for Tampa and Miami, how don't you get all these great free agents to sign? You say, look, you have no state income tax.
Yeah.
California's 13%. You're rich. Even if they actually have to pay income tax on the away games.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of money for those guys.
When it gets cold down here, it's 50.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know what the clubs are like down here? You ever seen the movie The Birdcage? It's amazing.
All right. Let's not.
All right,
folks. Don't need to bring up the Birdcage.
Yeah, and hey,
question.
Just from a if it's away from a traditional Dino format, you're talking best ball. I mean, guys like Kenny Stills. I mean, Kenny Stills. I mean, I don't want to understate that. I know I kind of brought him up, but Stills offers a ton of upside, really, really cheap. I mean, I think he had 7-ish touchdowns last year, and around 60 receptions. I mean, with 160 targets available, I mean, I don't think we'd be going out too far to say Stills could go up to 70, 75 receptions and 8 touchdowns, and that's going to be pretty valuable when you can get that very late in a startup, or frankly, you could probably trade a round 3 or 4 rookie pick here at roster cuts, in some cases, and be able to get the guy.
That's a good point.
Question from the chat room, Brian. This is from our beloved mascot of the show, Two-Packer. He wants to know which side you would rather have, a 110 rookie pick this year or Allen Robinson?
Come on, Two-Packer. It would take somewhere in the neighborhood. If I had Allen Robinson and I was trading him solely in picks, man, it would take 1-3 and 110, and I still don't even think I would pull the trigger. I'd look for some value elsewhere.
That's
he's
perfect.
Still very
so
much he's still a round 2 startup guy, and pretty clear he's going to be a wide receiver. I'd say a fringe are wide receiver 2. He's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of like wide receiver 12 to 15, somewhere in that range this year, and that's worst case. He could do much better than that.
So, Two-Packer, a message to you from the guy you're trying to get Allen Robinson from in the Blake Harrington Dynasty League. The 103 and 110 will not get it done for a guy who's won $30,000 playing Dynasty. So it's not going to get it done for me either. You know what it's going to take now. That's the deal start at the 102 and the 110, and that's what I start considering.
You're not even selling them anyway.
I probably won't.
Hey, I know I've only been around FFPC now for I guess about 4 years, but I know Tupacker's a legend around here, so I'll give him his respect. Come on, 1.10, let's go.
He's a legend in the chat room. And he's the best Revelations reviewer of all the reviewers.
He's sort of the president, the de facto president of Revelations, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, he actually is.
You know what I mean?
I missed the Revelation sign up just by about 20 minutes from what I was told this year. So.
Oh man.
They went fast. Both of them went fast.
All right. So here's our final question. It's always a great one. Not really. So who's going to be a first-round rookie draft dynasty bust? And who is going to go in the second or third round of rookie drafts that's going to have a great fantasy career? Balky, before you answer, Balky, we need more dynasty players on. I need more tips.
Yeah, I know.
We're always asking the stupid redraft. I don't care about redraft.
I want to start doing 2 shows a week so I'm better prepared for my rookie draft.
All right, go ahead, Bryan. I'm going to write this down.
Yeah, absolutely. So in most all mocks that you're looking at, everybody's taking Calvin Ridley somewhere like right in the middle, in that Baltimore, Arizona range. I'm staying away from this guy. I mean, he's, right around 6 feet, 189 pounds. If you're going to be, that size and kind of be in that little slot role, you got to have some pretty solid explosiveness and/or deep speed. There's just a lot of red flags from him out of the combine. I mean, barely has 9-inch hands. I mean, he be working in the slot, the lack of explosiveness, and I think most kind of, the biggest red flag that I see with him is that he's 24 years old. I mean, to put that in perspective, guys like Sammy Watkins and Allen Robinson, here they are free agents this year. Well, they're 24 years old. You really got to stand out or pop off the chart for me to go ahead and, and invest, what's going to probably be a mid-first rookie pick, for a 24-year-old receiver, and I just don't see it. And then kind of on the other end of the spectrum, and I'm not going too deep here, but, actually right before we hopped on, I changed my mind on who I was going to say because, I saw Ryan McDowell post, something on Twitter. He tweeted out that he got Christian Kirk at the pick 2.02. I tell you what, in my opinion, Christian Kirk is everything that Calvin Ridley's not. Christian Kirk, Texas A&M, he's not even 6 feet, but he's thick. He's a little over 200 pounds, got a good BMI. He's got some of the largest hands that are in the draft. Special teams player. Frankly, if I'm putting it out there, I mean, Christian Kirk is either he's right in there with my wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 in this year's class. I mean, he's, and by the way, he's 2 full years younger than Calvin Ridley out of Alabama. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of name cachet with Ridley, but I just don't see it. And I know I didn't go too deep there. There's some, I was going to talk about, Kalen Ballage, as a potential guy that, kind of fits a good PPR format, as a sleeper. But, man, at the end of the day, I'm staying away from Ridley, and I'm buying all the Kirk I can get.
There you go. And you know what, Dave? I would say definitely reinforces my view on both Ridley and Kirk. I know you're not as big of a Kirk guy.
I don't mind Kirk, Joe.
You don't mind him, but you're not.
No, I mean, I like him.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, and the agility is what scared you.
It was a little bit, yeah. But he had 20 bench press reps. If he's going to be able to play outside the house, versus the slot.
He's strong like Bull.
He is strong like Bull.
And
he's 21. He's like the same age as Juju.
Right. Yeah.
I saw a comp, and I'm not going to, I saw a comp in a best case scenario for Kirk, and I think this is obviously extreme. I'm going to go and put that out there, but a best case just with the way the measurables and everything kind of stacked up of Odell Beckham, and a best case for Christian Kirk, and then a kind of middle of the road from a comp standpoint, a Golden Tate. Tate's not, obviously he's not sexy at this stage in his career, but if you're going to take someone that you want to get, some solid slot or outside production from for the next 6-7 years, that's, those are pretty good comps that you got there.
Yeah, definitely. That's Christian Kirk is going to be a guy we're going to be paying attention to, maybe as early as day one of the NFL draft too. Dave, go ahead.
All right, this is a little weird.
Like this show. Yeah.
I just pulled up a picture of him, and I mean, look at it.
Christian Kirk.
His eyebrows look like they're all fashioned up. They're like,
like
little
they
worms.
look like normal eyebrows.
Well, they're not. They're all angled up and everything.
They look fine.
I have a problem with his eyebrows. I'm gonna have to reevaluate this guy.
And
really sure.
I remember
this one on the left is higher than the one on the right.
Didn't you have okay, just to recap
Bryan,
here.
have you looked at his eyebrows? Because this kind of is important.
There was a weird thing that you had with the guy last year in Dynasty that you didn't like him.
Yeah, and Derek Carr, because he wears eye makeup.
Okay, that, and I remember you had a problem with Giovanni Bernard's butt looking weird.
That was when he was a rookie.
Yeah, but this is what we're talking about.
Well, look at him now. He sucks. Because they have a normal butt, maybe he'd be a better player.
Okay, well, maybe we'll have to explore this further. Bryan, listen, pleasure having you on the air tonight. This was awesome that we got to talk some Dyno with the guy who's had so much success at the high stakes level like you have. Best of luck to you in your rookie drafts, in all of your leagues this year, and we'll talk to you again soon, man. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot.
Bryan Studebaker, ladies and gentlemen, from the Real Men of Genius Dynasty franchise. You can follow him on Twitter at RMG_Dynasty. 30K winner, and a lot of science was dropped.
Great info,
yeah. We have a lot of less than stellar info to get to here. Free agents. So here's originally I had advertised that we were going to, if anybody's looking at the show on Blog Talk, we're going to talk about the tight ends, how they finished tonight. We don't have the time to do that. We just don't. So we have so much free agency stuff to get to. So let's get to it. And a guy that I know I'm very excited about. I think you're pretty excited about him as well, Jerick McKinnon. 4 years, $30 million with the 49ers. He's in line to lead the backfield in touches, probably catches as well, I would imagine. And is going to be pretty big this year. He went in that Kentucky draft that I told you I was doing on Thursday night. He did go at like the 402, 403.
That's
right there.
Crazy. That's a really crazy good value.
And so you look at what McKinnon's capable of here. This is Kyle Shanahan was falling all over himself, talking about how great he's going to be. Playing the Devontae Freeman role. This is all great things for Jerick McKinnon. As far as Dynasty goes, Dave, I'd probably put him out there just to see what I could get for him right now.
Yeah, I mean, the general kind of consensus, I've seen some Twitter polls, I've seen trades going down. Anywhere from, I would say, the 108 to the 202 is kind of where he's going.
Really?
Yeah, that's
interesting.
There was one, it was the 112 for McKinnon. There was an FFPC Dynasty trade. Yeah. What was the other one? We've actually seen a few where it was McKinnon for a 2019 first, and we don't know how good or bad this is.
No, the one I saw today was McKinnon and this year's 211. Well, obviously this year's 211. McKinnon and the 211 for T.Y. Hilton was the trade that went down.
That's more of an interesting player-for-player trade, yeah.
Right. We talked about this earlier today. Jerick McKinnon turns 26 on May 3rd. So he's not
in the prime of his career, though.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably. I mean, what do you think? What do you think you get? I mean, if he's in this Kyle Shanahan offense, he could probably be productive. I would say for the next 3 years, maybe 4 years.
Well, what do you? So really, what's kind of a little bit unproven with McKinnon is his ability to run, and get like 15 to 20 carries a game and actually be an effective running back for a long period of time. I mean, not that it's unproven. It's just he hasn't done it very often. Right. He's done it intermittently. I do think the Vikings misused him as almost his entire career.
Okay.
And I mean, he was a fantastic metrics guy. I don't think he was a naturally instinctive running back. He was pretty inexperienced when he first came into the NFL.
He's a quarterback in college.
Former quarterback, played option, but I think he's gotten a lot better. He's a great pass catching back. So at the very worst, you're getting the pass catching back.
Right.
Even if he sucks as the first and second down back, I don't see any way he can't be or he won't be an RB1 without injury. If he doesn't get hurt, there's no way. Which means that he should be going in the second round, not in the fourth. That was not quick enough to react to the news type of picks, and like no one figured it out.
Yeah.
He should have gone like a full round and a half earlier.
If I set the over/under on his total catches this year at 50, are you taking the over or the under?
I'll take the over.
Really? What if I set it at 60?
I'll take the under, but only because of the injury factor.
Okay.
I know how to bet these props in Vegas.
Okay. What if let's do this disclaimer.
Such a knob.
If I told you that Jerick McKinnon was going to be healthy for weeks 1 to 16, he's not leaving a game early. He's out there, whatever you expect him to do, he's going to do. And I set the total for his catches at 67.
No, I would take the under.
Take the under. All right.
He's no McCaffrey.
Good one. All right, moving on. Another guy that's no McCaffrey. The Las Vegas Raiders signed wide receiver Jordy Nelson to a 2-year, $15 million deal with $13 million guaranteed and released Michael Crabtree. We're going to talk about him in a little bit. Jordy Nelson did not look so good last year when Aaron Rodgers is out. and the Packers decided that he was not worth the $9.25 million price tag that he would cost them this year. You look at what he's going to be doing for the Raiders, playing opposite Amari Cooper with Derek Carr throwing to him. Obviously, John Gruden already said Amari Cooper is going to be the main receiver in this offense, Dave. And this is something I mentioned to you, I think, today. This proves that I am a total Packers homer because I was always defending Jordy Nelson the last couple of years when people said he was old, he was washed up, he lost the step, he couldn't get open anymore. I was defending him to the hilt. And you know what? Now that he's on the Raiders, I'm totally off that. I'm like the opposite. I'm like, yeah, you know what? He's pretty old. He's going to be 33 this season. He was never a fast guy. He never made his.
You're a Jordy lover, now you're a Jordy hater.
Yeah, I'm not a Jordy. You know what? I might be a Jordy hater.
You are. Given
where he's going in drafts, I can't get by. Again, the Kentucky League. I think he went in the 4th or 5th round in that. And that was before he signed with the Raiders.
Yeah.
I'm not excited about this landing spot. I'm not excited about his prospects for the 2018 season.
You know, I haven't spent a lot of time actually thinking. I've actually just been kind of so annoyed at the Ryan Grant and the Crabtree signing by the Ravens.
Right.
That I haven't really been thinking about how Jordy's going to do. I think he might do actually all right as a slot player. Because in Cooper, we're assuming Cooper's going to actually play up to his alleged potential.
Oh yeah, he is.
Even though he continually fails to do so.
That's a given.
So when he fails to do so again somehow, and yet still gets valued as a top 10 dynasty wide receiver.
Right.
Who's going to catch all the passes from Mr. Eyeliner? It might be Jordy Nelson.
All right. Over under 65 catches for Jordy Nelson this year.
I'll take the over.
Over under 75? Okay, that's you don't have to answer it. Okay, that's fine.
By the way, can I just interrupt and say that the FFPC, we're on the wait list for the Las Vegas Raiders season tickets.
Oh, that's exciting.
As well as club seats. We're checking out the upgrade. So we might get eight season tickets. 2 or 3 or 4, whatever.
Right.
So then, our high-valued listeners can come and hang out with us.
All right. Well, perfect. That's now
for free.
Very
Alex, it's for free, right? We won't tell you it. Tell him.
Well, don't. Yeah, Alex, is he advertising that for free?
No, he wants people to pay us.
Yeah, exactly. Jordy Nelson over under 800 receiving yards.
Over.
Jordy Nelson over under 6 touchdowns.
Over.
Wow, I think you like Jordy Nelson this year.
I don't like him, but I like him. Yeah, why not?
Well, let's make it. I got 5 on.
Fine. What did you? Okay, 6 touchdowns, 800 receiving yards, and 60 catches.
Okay. Do you want to do? Okay. All right. So 806, right? Is that what I said?
Yeah, that's 164 fantasy points.
Okay.
Fine. I'll take the over on that.
So you're going to go over 164,
sure,
and I'll go under 164.
Sure.
Okay. Oh,
that's the easiest money ever.
I agree.
I got 5 on it. Wow.
Jordy, 164.
I'm not even worried about the injury thing. Yeah.
Okay, number 1, you should be. Number 2, you should be worried about who you just bet on. Like, this isn't Jordy Nelson from 2015 or 16 or whatever.
If you listened to the show a few weeks ago, you were like, I won't say the profanity, but you were very enamored with Jordy. And all the scoring he did in weeks 1 through 6. Do you remember that show? I was on it with you.
But here's the thing.
Dave,
listen.
He had 70 points in 5 weeks.
The reason I did that was purely
he was a Packer.
Purely to win that argument. That was the only reason.
You're such a liar.
That's the only reason I brought up.
He had 6 touchdowns in 5 weeks. He's so great.
Touchdowns. He's going to negatively regress to the mean. And think about how bad his 2017 was, and he could still negatively regress. I mean, bad year.
Man, you're like a politician. It's like if people are putting up 2 memes and they're tweeting about you right now about like. This is one thing you said, this is one other thing you said.
I would love to see
If you were important enough to be a politician, that's what they would do.
I would love to see more bulky memes on Twitter. The Raiders, also, they were busy. They signed Doug Martin to a 1-year deal. John Gruden apparently very impressed by Doug Martin. Mike Silver reports that the team has no plans to cut Marshawn Lynch, who obviously had a much better season than Doug Martin did last year. We don't know if Doug Martin's going to make the team, Dave. This is another questionable decision that I think John Gruden is just like, I could just see him like, meeting with Reggie McKenzie and Reggie McKenzie saying like, oh, the Bucs cut Doug Martin. And then Gruden's like, Doug Martin's a free agent? You kidding me? We got to get this guy in here, you know, like,
I'm
and
so
just
happy I just found the stat I was looking for.
okay.
Go ahead.
But he's going to be like, it's just like bringing in Jordy Nelson and Doug Martin, and like just guys that do not get me excited for fantasy. And maybe I'm an ageist at this point with these guys, but I'm not excited about Jordy, and I'm not excited about Doug Martin, and it really train wrecks the value for Marshawn Lynch, whatever he had left.
All right, so I'm going to bring up a tweet from a guy named Warren Sharp. And his at Sharp Football is his and he's an analytics type guy. I don't even know how I started following him. And in order to follow him, I think it's in Russian. I mean, I don't even know if this guy is Russian or something.
Isn't he? Is he one of the big gamblers? Like,
maybe. Yeah, whatever. If you have the last name is Sharp, it sounds like you would. Out of 40 running backs with 200 plus carries the last 2 years, Doug Martin ranks 40th in success rate. Is out of 40.
That's bad.
38%. 40th in yards per carry.
Yeah.
2.9. 40th in percentage runs gaining 3 yards or more, and 40th in percentage of runs gaining 5 yards or more. He sucks.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. And then hashtag Team No Analytics was what he tweeted. Good job, buddy.
But isn't that interesting that the same team that's bringing him in is bringing in Jordy Nelson too? These aging,
let's move on.
Decrepit.
I don't want to talk anymore about that.
I love Jordy Nelson, but I'm just.
The GM, he was a little sleepy after the Jordy Nelson brilliant move.
Because we haven't talked about enough guys that you don't like, let's talk about Dante Moncrief. The Jags signed him to a 1-year deal worth up to $9.6 million. Also re-signed Marquise Lee, 4 years, $38 million, $18 million guaranteed. And they also signed your friend and ours, Austin Seferian-Jenkins. The Jaguars actually committed more money to Dante Moncrief and Marquise Lee than what it would have cost to franchise Allen Robinson this year.
Complete and utter morons.
Moncrief obviously has flashed, but those flashes are very few and far between. They're just what they are, Dave. Flashes. That's
more like mooning. He's mooned us.
Marquise Lee, obviously, the last 2 years of his rookie deal that he signed, he came on, and ASJ had a pretty good year with the Jets last year after the Bucks moved on from him. It's a run-first offense with 3 other good receivers. It's going to be difficult to find not only value for ASJ, Lee, and Moncrief, but Keelan Cole, D.D. Westbrook. Maybe the only guy you can count on in this offense, Dave, is Leonard Fournette.
You might be right, actually. I mean, truthfully.
I'm not excited about any of these guys. I don't plan on drafting any of these guys either. Marquise Lee, I looked at super late in that Kentucky draft, and somebody snagged him anyway, so I didn't, have to worry about it. But I'm not excited about any of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, what's Marquise Lee's? I mean, I'd have to look at his stats. What did he have? 702 yards last year. Whoop-de-freaking do. 3 touchdowns. And he matched his prior year's touchdown status of 3.
Yeah. He's not a red zone guy, or an end zone guy, I should say.
Yeah, I like end zone guys.
Yeah, I know you do.
I mean, I like when my players score points and score touchdowns for me to play fantasy, yes.
And fresh off that ASJ signing, the Jaguars doubled down and signed tight end Niles Paul as well.
Well, he's nothing.
Well, that's fine if you say that, but the Jaguars obviously think he is something, and that is going to limit ASJ's value.
It's a backup. He's getting paid as Miles Paul. He sucks.
He got paid a decent amount of money. I mean, I don't know what it was, but it was noteworthy to me. I'm like, wow, somebody gave Niles Paul that kind of money?
The salary cap, people are just going like ape.
I feel like Jacksonville and Cleveland for the last couple of years have just had mountains of cash to spend. So I remember that the whole reason they signed Chris Ivory was to like spend some of their money. And now he's no longer. I think he's with the Bills now, but I know he's not a Jaguar anymore. You got the Niles Paul contract figures?
No, why would I have that? The news sucks.
Okay, well can we move on and talk about something else that's something?
Yeah, great.
All right, the Broncos signed Case Keenum, 2 years, $36 million, $25 million guaranteed. So the reason I bring this up is Case Keenum, not that he made Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen fantasy relevant, because they probably were fantasy relevant before that, but he made these guys he was the quarterback of 2. Well, Adam Thielen was like the number 4 receiver last year, and Stephon Diggs had to be borderline top 20, right?
Yeah, great. They're both great.
So they're both great.
Was productive too.
What are the things that's been holding Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders back in Denver the last couple of years? Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch. Who's the other guy that stunk?
Who cares?
Osweiler.
Oh, God.
These guys we should be looking at now. Thomas and Sanders. Bill Musgrave is going to be the offensive coordinator this year, so they didn't get Kirk Cousins. But Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, Dave, you look at where they're going right now in drafts, Demaryius Thomas at the 412 in FFPC best balls. And, of course, Manny Sanders is going at the 904. That's really good value for Thomas, and I think that's really good value for Manny Sanders. 412.
Yeah, that's a steal for Demaryius Thomas.
Case Keenum, I think, makes these guys really good. Is Demaryius Thomas a top 10 receiver this year?
I don't necessarily think so, but I think
he should be
really
top 15.
Good shot at top 15. Yeah.
If I said
he could be top 10.
He could be top 10, and Emmanuel Sanders could be top 25.
Look at this. Okay, Demaryius, again, receiver scoring was so god awful last year and the year before.
Yeah.
Demaryius Thomas was wide receiver 16 last year in Carrington.
Yeah, that's
with 200.
You can just say FFPC.
Yeah, 207 fantasy points, which is pretty awful.
And you alluded to it earlier, the receiver scoring.
But still, I mean, yeah, it's not that hard, it's not much of a leap to have him going up.
I haven't talked to you too much about this, so I want to get your opinion on what you think about this signing that the Browns had of Carlos Hyde, 3 years, $15 million. There's multiple reports on Twitter and the internet that this move doesn't necessarily mean they won't be taking Saquon Barkley, but this is a team now that has gushed over Duke Johnson, that used Duke Johnson, not as much as they should have last year, but they still did use him quite a bit. Now they signed Carlos Hyde. Can you really envision the Browns using either the 1 or the 4 on Saquon Barkley after the way they've talked about Duke Johnson and what they've just given Carlos Hyde here?
Hyde and Duke Johnson complement each other really perfectly.
I agree.
It doesn't make any sense for them to draft Barkley given what they did.
Okay. Now the other part of that is?
Well, unlike the Dolphins, I have to ask the question, are they as dumb as the Dolphins?
That's what I was going to say. This is Cleveland making these picks.
Yeah.
So they're of course going to take Barkley.
Yeah, it's a new GM who I think is worse than the old GM who got all the picks.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out at the draft. It's a tough evaluation because Hyde was actually a top 10 running back last year. I normally don't like him, and he did really well though. And Duke Johnson was he was 11th last year in PPR.
Yeah.
So you have two top 12 running backs, two RB1s on the same team that was 0-16 with the new GM, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how they're going to use him. I guess we'll just have to see more in preseason.
Okay.
I would lean towards Duke because he's going to get the catches, but.
Okay. Hyde, let's say you own Hyde or Duke Johnson right now. What are you doing in Dynasty with these guys? How nervous are you? Because if they take Barkley, their value goes way down, Hyde and Duke Johnson. So what do you do with them in Dynasty right now? Are you floating them out there? Are you trying to get a late first-round pick for you probably couldn't get a late first-round pick for either one of them, but would you take a mid-second for Duke Johnson?
If I was going to flex out Duke Johnson or use him during bye weeks, no, I probably wouldn't take. I would probably keep Duke Johnson, anticipate that they're not going to draft Barkley, and just roll with him.
Yeah. So it's not worth selling for 70 cents on the dollar.
A late first, I would take probably for either one.
I would too, but.
I don't know. I would, but I wouldn't.
If I had Carlos Hyde and somebody gives me the 112, I'm doing it.
Yeah, with Hyde, yeah. I don't own Hyde. I've never owned him, so I don't really know.
Duke Johnson, I think I would do it with him too. Just give me the 112.
Crazy.
All right. Tyler Eifert remains with the Cincinnati Bengals. 1 year, $8 million. Eifert will be the top red zone option for the Cincinnati Bengals as long as he stays healthy, which he may not be healthy right now. We don't know what's happened since he signed this deal. I have no idea.
You know who he's probably more healthy than? Andrew Luck.
I thought you were going to say Jordy Nelson. Hi-oh. He's obviously been very, very good catching touchdowns. You had the great stat today that you told me about.
Yeah.
Who had the most touchdown catches over the last 3 years?
The most red zone touchdowns.
Red zone touchdowns.
In the last 3 years.
Yeah, and he was...
Tyler Eifert, having played 23 or 48 games,
right,
is tied for 6th.
Wow.
In the NFL.
Yeah.
Hasn't even played half the game.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you look at that team right now, they get Cordy Glenn in, and you'd like to think maybe that gets Joe Mixon jump-started a little bit. They still don't have an answer opposite A.J. Green, so Tyler Eifert's still probably the number 2 option in this passing offense.
Right.
He's an interesting guy. I don't know if I would take, and switching to redraft, I don't know if I would be able to take him as my starting tight end in the FFPC, but I'd certainly love him as my second.
Yeah, he'd definitely would be in my garbage triumvirate that I like to draft. He would for sure be in that.
Which part of the triumvirate?
Well,
Father, Son, or Holy Ghost there? He can't be the father. He'd have to be the son or the whole. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's Tyler Eifert. Wasp guy in the chat, I missed this. Where would you take Duke Johnson in a startup? And I would have to reference our.
I don't know where he's going. So
yeah, I don't either.
8th, 9th, maybe. I don't know. Not super high. I mean, he's in his,
Yeah. I don't know. This Hyde signing has just thrown me for a loop, so I don't know what to think right now. If I knew they weren't going to take Barkley, I could easily take him in the 7th. I wouldn't have any problem with that. But yeah, 8th or 9th probably. I think you're right with the Saquon possibility. It makes me nervous. Paul Richardson, 5 years, $40 million, $20 million guaranteed. Why not? From the Washington Redskins.
How much is he guaranteed?
$20 million.
He sucks.
$20 million guaranteed. Now let's.
Wow. Unbelievable. I wish I tweeted this. I wish I was a mediocre NFL wide receiver.
Yeah. Let's.
Who?
Paul Richardson. Let's
Washington.
Let's look at the Washington pass catching options here. You have Jamison Crowder. You have Josh Doxson. You have Jordan Reed. And you have Paul Richardson fitting in there somewhere. I don't know if I can, we say follow the money, but I don't know if I can in this case for fantasy. I can't say 5 years, $40 million. Well, obviously he's going to be the focal point of this passing offense. I don't think he is. And I think he parlayed, again, getting a lot of touchdowns in the second half of the middle part, as we figured out, the middle part of last season. He parlayed a lot of touchdowns into a good fantasy year, and now he got paid. I don't think I could follow the money on this one. He's not going to be a guy I own him in Carrington. I would love to trade him.
Please, some bulky offer.
Yeah, like $212. You can have Paul Richardson for that. I don't care. I'd get rid of him for that. Anywhere in the second round.
Yeah, and would you trade him for any random? I bet you would trade him for any random 2019 second.
Yeah, I probably would, because the thing is, I think as soon as the season starts, his value goes down because everybody's going to see Paul Richardson.
Will Fuller year.
2 for 24 and no touchdowns again. He could do that every week. What does that do for you? Nothing. So I'm not excited about Paul Richardson at all.
He sucks. 6 foot, 183. He's got injury history. Hit 700 yards last year, 6 touchdowns with a pretty fantastic quarterback. You have Russell Wilson, and all they had was Baldwin and Jimmy Graham going around. He only had 80 targets on the whole season. And he didn't miss any games, by the way. He played them all.
Hey, let me ask you this. Jimmy Graham is gone.
He told 9 fantasy points in those last series of the season. 15, 16, and 17.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Jimmy Graham is gone. Paul Richardson is gone. Doug Baldwin's still there. Do you have any dynasty love for Tyler Lockett, or do you think he's just a guy there?
I don't like Lockett's skill set. I just don't think he's that good.
So you think they're going to do something with the draft?
I mean, I'm guessing. But if he comes in as the number 2, who's their tight end? They signed somebody, I thought.
Ed Dixon is now.
That's another. So they may be drafting a tight end and a wide receiver.
And a receiver.
This is a pretty good tight end class, actually. Yeah. We haven't talked about it a lot, but I like it a lot.
We should. I just noticed this. This is nowhere in the notes. Jimmy Graham, 3 years, $31 million for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, that's great.
You and I think kind of differ on this.
I think it's a great signing. I think the Packers will do well. I think they'll actually target the tight end. They'll play him as a move player. Seattle didn't use him correctly. I think that he will kind of replace Jordy to an extent.
Yeah.
And that's my opinion.
Now, Dave, I want to ask you this as a noted 2018 Jordy Nelson lover. How you feel about what they actually did, cutting Jordy Nelson and signing Jimmy Graham, because you were on the hook for Jordy Nelson $9 1/4, and now you're
on the hook. They have to pay him?
Well, no, that's what they would have been had they not cut him. And now you have Jimmy Graham making $22 million guaranteed over the next 2 years, and then $9 million in the third year. Did they really? Is this that significant of a difference from a? And I guess you can equate it to a fantasy output. I don't know if it is.
Interesting question. I'm not really sure. I would say that they must have thought Jordy's lost his ability to separate.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that my affection for Jordy runs 164 fantasy points or higher deep.
And then you'll hate him.
I don't care. I don't.
Yeah,
if he gets 165, I don't care.
Like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. So
you said to me.
Yeah, we're not going out or anything. It's
Got
just
it.
like it's first date.
Okay.
But Jimmy Graham, I think he still has some elite potential. 2 years ago, he was the number 3 tight end. Even with Seattle misusing him, and last year he was the number 7 tight end. So I mean, that's not bad.
Rob's telling me he has a clip from our show 1 year ago today, and this is you. Balky, who cares about Martellus Bennett? The Packers don't throw to the tight end. Like this, you should be drafting Martellus Bennett. Green Bay just throws to the receivers. They don't use the tight end at all.
By the way, that was correct.
Yeah.
Everyone, you're welcome.
Hold on.
That was correct.
Is that correct? Because you're saying that.
Wait, no.
No, hold on. Part of that was the Packers don't throw to their tight end.
Did Martellus Bennett have a good year last year?
Yes, he did not.
So bad he got caught in the season.
I am giving you that. What I am not giving you is all of a sudden that you're like, yeah, Jimmy Graham is going to be great. I think they're going to use him the right way.
We're talking about the future now.
Okay, so now all of a sudden Green Bay is going to start throwing to the tight end.
No, the Packers have an elite tight end, which they will start throwing to.
Jermichael Finley was being drafted in the first round of FFPC draft. You cannot tell me that he was not an elite tight end.
He had an elite year.
Okay.
20, whatever it was. I was just talking about Martellus Bennett, who I said was not elite.
Right.
When you have Richard Rodgers, Dick Rogers,
right,
who they overdrafted in the 3rd round, no, he's not going to get the target. And they generally do not throw to that. But when you have a situation where you get rid of Jordy Nelson and you have Jimmy Graham, who's an all-pro.
So you will follow the money in this case.
I mean, I think the only way that Jimmy Graham doesn't put up good stats is if the Packers also somehow misuse a guy who doesn't block. He's a tight end that doesn't block, so throw it to him. I mean, that's the whole point of the guy.
Would you rather time? I'm assuming you'd rather have Kelsey, Gronk, and Olsen than Jimmy Graham this year. Is that correct?
I'm not sure about Olsen.
Okay, so you're not sure about Olsen. What about Evan Engram?
No, I'll take Graham.
You would take Graham over Engram, and last one?
I think I'm going to take Graham over Olsen, too. I mean...
Okay, hold on. Last one.
Graham
or Ertz?
As a passer.
Graham or Ertz?
I think I'm higher on Graham than I...
So Graham is your number 3 tight end?
He might be, actually.
Wow. That's crazy.
How crazy is it?
Maybe not that crazy. It just seems crazy.
You know what? I might take... I don't know. I'm not... I guess...
I'll tell you...
I'm not sure about Ertz, I guess. I don't know if I have no word about Ertz.
Dave, it's a slam dunk for me. I would rather have Ertz than Graham.
We don't even know who the quarterback's going to be.
I don't care.
It might be Nick... Well...
No,
I
think Rodgers wins that job.
I don't know
despite the Deshaun Kaiser trade, I think that Rodgers
wins.
All right, so...
Yeah, Rodgers is a 4,500-yard passer.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to throw it to somebody. It's not just going to be Devontae touchdown Adams. And it's not going to be Cobb or Gobbert, who sucks.
I know you don't like Cobb.
No.
You still don't like Cobb. That's fine.
I'm never going to like Cobb.
Let's fly through these last few ones here. Isaiah Crowell to the Jets on a 3-year deal.
By the way, Virginia's down 13 in the
yeah, I know. I just saw that in the chat.
Go ahead.
Could be 7 minutes to go in the game, too. That'd be the first 1 seed ever to go down.
Nice.
Yeah. So Isaiah Crowell kind of taking the place of Matt Forte. It looks like it's going to be him, Bilal Powell, and maybe Elijah McGuire. Any fantasy value here for Isaiah Crowell being the first and second down banger in New York?
No, they're going to draft a running back.
But if you're
really think Crowell and Powell and Elijah McGuire are going to be the running backs for this team?
I don't know. I mean, like, why? If Isaiah Crowell isn't figuring into your plans, why are you giving him a 3-year deal? Especially if running backs are as disposable as they are. Makes no sense. Okay, so you're not a fan of Isaiah Crowell. We kind of talked a little bit about this with Bryan Studebaker, but the Dolphins get Danny Amendola, 2 years, $12 million, and Albert Wilson, 3 years, $24 million. Bryan still likes Devontae Parker. He said Kenny Stills be a good best ball guy and maybe a guy you can acquire cheap in Dynasty too. I'm kind of staying away from this situation entirely, Dave. I don't think there's any Dolphins receiver I'm excited about for redraft.
I'll look at Stills. Parker, I just don't think he's going to get it done, ever.
I think
could be wrong. I'm willing to let it go. I don't care.
This team is doing something in the draft. They have to. Kenyon Drake and Damian Williams still. I think Damian Williams might need to be a free agent. They might just have Kenyon Drake there right now at running back, and then that's it. And they cut Julius Thomas. They really don't have a tight end either. So this is a team definitely in flux right now. Deion Lewis is now a Tennessee Titan, 4 years, $20 million. Remember when we were talking about Derrick Henry potentially being a 3-down workhorse back for the Titans? That was a fun couple of days. Because it ain't going to happen now. Deion Lewis is probably going to be the third down guy. And honestly, Dave, he's probably going to take down some early down work from Derrick Henry as well. So I think we move Henry down a little bit. And this is a fairly decent landing spot for Deion Lewis. I like what Bryan brought up about LaFleur taking over as the offensive coordinator there for the Titans. I think this makes a lot of sense as Deion Lewis and Derrick Henry both having successful seasons, but maybe not paying off at Derrick Henry's current ADP.
Yeah, Henry's ADP is just going to drop. Lewis, he looks like he should be a good value for that team.
Lewis is the pass catcher of the two, right?
Yeah.
Who would you rather own this year?
I think Lewis is a little bit safer. I'll take Lewis.
And he's going to be cheaper. People are still going to draft Henry before Lewis.
Maybe.
Do you think people would draft Lewis before Henry? I don't think they will. I think people will still want to be drafting Derrick Henry before Deion Lewis, even with the reception aspect.
You could be right. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Henry's the more pedigree back, so I mean, it doesn't
He definitely is. Kirk Cousins, 3 years, $84 million, all guaranteed, baby, to the Minnesota Vikings. And
it's such a money. That's like the best money, awesome contract. The opposite of the stupid cornerback,
Richard Sherman, yeah.
Terminator, who negotiated his own deal like a dummy.
So
I went to Stanford, and I'm not smart enough to hire an agent at 1.5%.
Kirk Cousins, he said he was happy with it, and he's the only guy he asked to please. Kirk Cousins.
Anyway.
Kirk Cousins goes from throwing to Jordan Reed, Terrell Pryor, Jameson Crowder, Josh Doxson to throwing to Kyle Rudolph, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs. Probably an upgrade. And Dalvin Cook, too. Let's not forget about him.
Yeah.
Probably an upgrade as far as his weapons goes, Dave. And I think, this might seem weird to say, what has me concerned, like probably my biggest concern I have with Kirk Cousins right now is that defense is really good. You know what I mean? And
he might only throw 20 times a game.
He was throwing a ton in Washington because every game they were in towards the end. I mean, there might be some blow-up potential with Minnesota. But I love Kirk Cousins this year. I think he's going to have a big year. And if anything, Diggs, Thielen, Rudolph, all their fantasy values go up from this.
Yep. I love Cousins. I might move him up to, in the redraft, I might move him up to the 12th round. Because he's a quarterback. Nobody picks a quarterback early, Balky.
Very, very fun. By the way, the two quarterbacks in that Kentucky league that I was doing, I waited till
Please tell me who you took.
Round 10,
I'm riveted.
Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
And then I think round 12, Pat Mahomes. Those are my two quarterbacks.
Mahomes will probably be better than Rivers.
Hey, but that's fine. I get the upside, and then I get the stalwart.
By the way, as we talked about at the office, the genius thing about that Kirk Cousins contract is he's going to get another one. It's so, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's 3 years.
33.
Yeah, 3 years, $84 million guaranteed. So it's like an NBA contract. Yeah. Where now then he's like free again. What a genius. Quarterback
13 right now, but a lot of these drafts are going on before we knew where Cousins was going to play. Quick, would you rather Kirk Cousins for redraft purposes, Dave? Kirk Cousins or Matthew Stafford?
Cousins.
I agree. Kirk Cousins or Jimmy Garoppolo?
I'm going to be safe. I'm going to take Cousins.
I agree. Kirk Cousins or Andrew Luck?
Cousins.
Who, by the way, Andrew Luck's going a full round ahead of Kirk Cousins right now in FFBC drafts.
As Graham Brocious would say about anything he ever promotes, enjoy.
Kirk Cousins or Drew Brees?
Breezy.
No, I'm going to go with Cousins there. Kirk Cousins or Carson Wentz?
Cousins. I don't think Wentz is going to be ready.
I agree. Kirk Cousins or Cam Newton?
I'll take Scam.
I think I would too.
Scam, I love your running skills, buddy.
Kirk Cousins or Tom Brady?
Oh, come on.
Come on.
Brady.
All right, I would too. Kirk Cousins or Deshaun Watson?
I'll take, even coming off the injury, I'm going to take Watson.
I would too.
He had a 40-point week, for God's sake.
Yeah, it was crazy. Okay, so let's get into some quick news, quick hitters that happened tonight. Michael Crabtree, 3-year deal with the Ravens. We talked about this briefly before the show. He becomes their number one receiver. I am going to try to deal him in Dynasty right now for 2 reasons, and they are.
Who is this?
Michael Crabtree. 2 reasons I'm going to try to deal him right now. 3 reasons I'm going to try to deal him right now. 1, his value is super high because he's the number one receiver for the Ravens. The second reason I'm going to try to deal him is his age. He ain't getting any younger, although he is like 3 years younger than Jordy Nelson. And the number 3 reason, the NFL draft. Because I think that could gum up the works a little bit if the Ravens use like a first-round pick on Cortland Sutton or Calvin Ridley or something like that.
That's very true.
Strike while the iron is hot, Crabtree owners. Snare that, I don't know, early second rounder.
Near that drunk.
Think I could get a 202 or a 203 for Crabtree right now?
Might be a little tough.
Right.
206.
I'll shoot for mid-second round then. LeGarrette Blount signs a deal with his old defensive coordinator, Matt Patricia, who is now the head coach of the Detroit Lions. LeGarrette Blount joins that backfield. Loving this, Dave. You want to know why? Just cementing my belief that I will not own any Lions running backs this year, and I'm totally good with it. Blount, they just, I believe they cut Zach Zenner, or they non-tendered him, or whatever you call it. So he's going to be gone. But Abdullah, Theo Riddick, LeGarrette Blount, Tion Green, remember that guy came on at the end of last year?
Tion?
Yeah, Tion Green. You don't remember him?
Nope.
Am I saying the guy's name wrong?
No, I must have just left.
I'm pretty sure it's Tion Green.
You might be right. I don't know.
Yeah, Tion Green, running back, Lions. Undrafted free agent, 6', 221, University of Cincinnati.
I'm not paying attention to him either.
Undrafted free agent last year. He actually came on.
My mind only goes 400 players deep. He was 402.
Okay. So that's LeGarrette Blount. And the last thing I want to bring up, did you see this Greg Olsen stuff that happened today?
What did he do?
Roto-World had a blurb on Greg Olsen that he was considering retiring, and he was auditioning for the Monday Night Football job that is suddenly open because of John Gruden.
Right.
And I'm like, what the hell is going on? He was my tight end that I drafted in that Kentucky draft. And I'm like, is this real? I own him in 2 dynasties. And then a couple hours later, he said he is locked and loaded for 2018. So for anybody who saw that blurb and didn't see the second part of it, he's going to be. But you know what, Dave? I'm looking at selling him. Now, here's the thing that sucks. I have Greg Olsen and O.J. Howard in Carrington Dynasty League, and I don't like either one of them right now. So I gotta unload both of them, but nobody pays for tight ends in that league.
Yeah, he actually did a pretty nice job in the NFL Network during the.
I thought he was all right.
Yeah, he's pretty solid.
He's got a future in that for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, but Greg Olsen for Dynasty, get rid of him now. See what do you think I could get for him? Hold on, let's do this. FFPC Tight End Premium League. If you own Greg Olsen, what would you part with for him for a rookie draft pick?
To buy him?
No. Get rid of him. What would you take back?
You know what you would take back? These little hypotheticals are great because what you would take back isn't the same as what someone's going to pay.
Gives a lot of people a good starting point though for trades.
Mid-second.
So if somebody gives you a
mid-second, you have to anticipate he's playing this is his last year every time with guys like this.
Okay.
So if it's a competing team, you pay a mid to late second if you need a tight end.
Fair enough.
But a lot of people aren't going to pay, and they'll pay a third.
Well, yeah, but then you wouldn't part with him, right? I don't think I would part with him for a third. I would just hope he comes back.
No, you know what? That's why you don't see a lot of trades going down. Guys like Greg Olsen. You don't see Fitz getting sold.
No, you don't.
Because people are like, screw it, I'm keeping Fitz. He's going to be WR number 7.
My 3rd round pick in Kentucky the other night.
This is so fascinating.
Yeah, I'm sure. Everybody cares. That is going to do it for our show, ladies and gentlemen. A special extended show tonight. I want to thank Bryan Studebaker, Dave Gerzak, the FFPC, Rob, our audio engineer and Bryce, our audio engineer, Rob, our producer and mutual friend, and you for listening. We'll be back next week. Next week, now that I think about this, Thursday, 10/9 Central. No show on Friday. It'll be on Thursday, 10/9 Central. No show Friday. So we will do one on Thursday. Register for the main event. All those best ball and dynasty leagues now at myffpc.com, including Dynasty Superflex. We'll see you at Planet Hollywood in September. For now,
this has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com. That was broadcast live and heard around the world. Eric and Dave will be back next week with more analysis, interviews, and advice from a guest much smarter than they are. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk with you again next week.
No, it's fine. There's only a couple of minutes left in this game. This could be historic, Dave. This will be the night that everybody starts like, do you remember the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour?
When everyone's
yeah, I don't really remember what 1 seed lost that night, but I do remember Dave lost to Jordy Nelson bet the ball.
Whatever, dude.
I'm Jonathan Messenger, broadcasting to you live from my home, where I record a kids podcast with my son Griffin.
John dreams of inspiring other parents to create something with their kids. American Family Insurance is helping to make that dream happen right now.
Dad, what else does a monster look like?
It was so huge.
John's podcast began at home, and your dreams can too. Learn more about American Family's home insurance at mfam.com. American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly.
American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin 53783.
I'm Jonathan Messenger, broadcasting to you live from my home, where I record a kids podcast with my son Griffin.
John dreams of inspiring other parents to create something with their kids. American Family Insurance is helping to make that dream happen right now.
Dad, what else does a monster look like?
It was so huge.
John's podcast began at home, and your dreams can too. Learn more about American Family's home insurance at mfam.com. American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly.
American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin 53783.